But this all kind of started because I was thinking about when Jesus was coming out of the wilderness. He had his wilderness experience and all of what that meant, and he came out, and he goes to the synagogue like he was accustomed to, to doing, and he goes in there, and I'm just gonna go ahead and read it. This is Luke chapter 4 verses. Well, I'm gonna start at verse 18. So again, this is when he was coming out of the wilderness. He goes into the synagogue. He picks up. He's handed one of the scrolls, and then this is what he says: "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim that captives will be released, that the blind will see, that the oppressed will be set free, and that the time of the Lord's favor has come." And then he says he rolls up the scroll, handed it back to the attendant, and sat down. It says all eyes in the synagogue were looking at him intently. Then he began to speak to them, saying, "The scripture you've just heard has been fulfilled it has been fulfilled this very day." And then it says, everyone spoke well of him and was amazed by the gracious words that came from his lips. And says, "How can this be?" they asked. "Isn't he Joseph's son?" Then he replies and says, "You will undoubtedly quote me this proverb: physicians, heal yourself," meaning do miracles here in your own hometown, like those you have done in Capernaum. Or Capernaum, I don't know if I'm saying that right. And then he says, "But I tell you the truth. No prophet is accepted in his own hometown. Certainly, there were many needy widows in Israel in Elijah's time, where the heavens were closed up for 3.5 years, and a severe famine desolated the land. Yet Elijah was not sent to any of them. He was sent instead to the foreigner, or the widow of Zarephath in the land of Sidon." And then it says, "And there were many lepers in Israel in the time of Elisha, but the only one healed was Naaman of Syrian," something like that. Syrian. So I was kind of thinking about that, and I was thinking about it in a different way. I was thinking about it as it relates to, especially when Jesus says, "I have been anointed to bring good news to the poor," and he goes so on and so on. So I was thinking like, um, and you remember how Jesus gave the commission to the disciples: "Go ye out into the world, baptizing, those making disciples of the nations, baptizing them." And so you can easily kind of think, okay, this is our job, and it's our responsibility too, to proclaim the good news to the poor, to set the captives free, the oppressed, and all that, which it is in a specific way. So I was kind of wrestling with it since yesterday, but then as I was reading it today, I was thinking, well, I said, wow, I said, hold on here. I said, Jesus says, he comes out of this experience and he says, "I have been anointed today. The Spirit of God has come upon me. I mean, fiercely. And I have been anointed. I have been sent. I have been empowered to preach the good news to the poor, to set the captives free, the oppressed, to open blind eyes, and blah, 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 blah." And I was like, okay, so wait a minute. That was Jesus's responsibility. That was Jesus's commission. We know that Jesus's main message was the kingdom. Um, but what's involved in the kingdom? The kingdom is he's just setting a perspective for us as far as what the kingdom is and what goes on inside of you. The kingdom of heaven is inside, and what that means and what that looks like and these little different things, and then what that makes available to you. But then just really realizing, oh, that was his responsibility. And I know that could sound simple, but like, yeah, but if you really think about it, if that was Jesus's responsibility to do those things, which that's where all freedom lies, then when he got up on that cross and he came down, he was, then it was finished. The not only the work that he was to do, that he was sent to do, was finished. Not only getting on that cross, that's done. Raising, dying, being raised, that's done. But everything, every key that he had when it was finished, it was finished. So that means for us, being oppressed, being blind, being poor in spiritual truth, poor in spiritual understanding, being captives. You know what I mean? And then proclaiming the day of God. This has happened. So that means God gave us through that moment. He literally gave you the keys to the kingdom. He gave you a key to every door to set you free from anything that has made you poor, that has made you blind, whether it's physical or whether it's spiritual, anything that has made you oppressed, anything that has made you a captive, any idea, anything that has kept you from believing that God literally has made you and set you free. So it's really important to understand that these are the things that God has done for us. This is what Jesus did. And then so I was thinking about it too, and I was like, remember how when the slaves were supposed to be emancipated, they were set free, and a lot of sects of slaves didn't get the memo, so they're acting as slaves as usual when the truth was they were set free. But because they didn't get it, because somebody deliberately, or whatever you want to say, kept that information from them, they were not able to walk in that identity until, they came across it. But the truth was the truth. It was done. They were set free. So when Jesus did what Jesus did, he literally, the game has changed. You're not oppressed anymore. You're not blind anymore. You're not imprisoned anymore. You have the ability to see new days and new perspectives, in all of these kind of moments and all of these kind of ways. So it's so important, man, that we understand that perspective, because it's the perspective that gives you, that drops the chains off. When you perceive that you are free, or even better, it's like this. I like to think that God had made this plan. He orchestrated this plan. He gave you a reason to believe something different. Jesus gives you a reason to believe something different, because it's like if God showed up in your room right now and you were crippled, no, your legs, your body, your back didn't work, nothing worked, and God says, get up. And you knew this was God, and you absolutely felt and intently believed, you would get out that bed in the quickness, because you knew that God had gave you something. So when God gave us Christ, then he gave us a reason to start to believe something different. When he says, preach the good news to the poor, what's the good news? The good news is you're no longer poor. You're set free. You're delivered. Now you take those keys of truth and you start unlocking doors. You know what I mean? You start unlocking doors and walk out, and you walk out in abundance. You walk out freedom, and you're free from the limited perspectives, that you held as a slave, or that you held as a poor person. He opened blind eyes. So it's so much to say about it, so many layers, and there's so many things that can be said because of our own specific situations that kind of cloud things up or make things more complicated than what they are, but it's just it's just something to really, really consider and understand as you move through your life, knowing that, oh, it is finished. So I don't have to be this person anymore. And I think the 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 weird area, I'll say it like that. The weird area is sometimes we look for freedom to come in a specific way, meaning you're looking for the warden to actually come up to you, grab your arms, and stick the warden keys in the chains and unlock the lock, and you waiting for it to drop off like that. But that's not how it happens spiritually. A result of unlocking locks spiritually, the result is physical locks falling off as well. But the truth is, sometimes we miss the power, we miss the thing because we're looking for it in a different form. Imagine you had a key, or there's a key right before you, and it unlocks this door. But there's a key and there's a hammer. You think you pick the hammer up, and you try to unlock the door with the hammer. Right, not knowing that the actual key to the door is right there, but because you're looking for something different, you don't utilize the utensil, or you don't utilize the tool that's literally for the door, which is the key. And that's how it is. We look for freedom to show up in these particular ways, and we miss our access tool, our access thing that gets us free, because we're looking at it in a different way. God said to you, I've given you Christ. Christ says to you, it's finished, it's done. So pick yourself up and walk out, because it's already finished. You just have to understand and believe that it's finished. And then you have to do the things, the techniques or the strategies. I always say that, those things to um, to help you along the way as you're walking. Because I'll tell you, if you're used to being broken down, and somebody tells you to get up and walk, there may be a set of minutes or a set of hours that as you're getting up and you're walking, you have to regain the strength in your legs. So you may stumble a little bit. You may shuffle. You may slide your feet along the way. You understand what I'm saying? So knowing this and understanding these truths will help you to free yourself from the trap saying that you're not free, but you already are free. Man, there's so much more to say. Like I said, I was sitting there having some conversations, and I just couldn't take it anymore. I wanted to say something, so I hope this helps a little bit. I hope it sheds or gives some perspective, or gives some light that you can use to leverage yourself up as you start to, one step at a time, regain your strength, regain your footing as a free person, as a free son and daughter in God. Rising Ground Church, Pastor Jamal. I'll talk to you. Peace.